11 from our review of hypothesis test. A government organization was established in 1938 after the Depression to provide local banks with money from the federal government to be used for residential mortgages in an effort to increase home ownership rates. As lending standards have tightened during the most recent housing market crisis, credit scores for borrowers of approved mortgages have increased. In 2012, the average credit score for loans that were purchased by the company was 750. A random sample of 25 mortgages recently purchased by the company was selected, and it was found that the average credit score was 756 with a sample standard deviation of 25. So let's conduct our hypothesis test. So in part A, they suggest using a significance level of 0.02. And using that alpha, is there enough evidence from this sample to conclude that the average credit score increased as the lending standards have tightened? So our hypothesis that we're trying to argue is that the mean has increased. And so if we look at part C, right, they're arguing that it's 750, and we're trying to argue that it's greater than. So C would be the best choice for the hypothesis. All right, we are going to run a t-test, and the reason we're going to run a t-test is because in our random sample, we found a sample standard deviation of 25, so we know S, not sigma. So over in StatCrunch, we'll select Stat t-test. It's a one sample t-test, and we have the summary data. So the sample mean that we witnessed was 756. The sample standard deviation from our sample was 25, and the sample size was also 25. So they're suggesting that the mean was 750, and we're seeing if it has increased. So we're trying to argue that it's greater than 750, what it used to be. So if I run the test, I end up with a test statistic T of 1.2. Oops. A p-value of 0.121. And so with a significance level of 0.02, the p-value is greater than the significance level 0.02, so we would fail to reject. So C or D will be our options. And so if you look at D, it says do not reject the null. There is not sufficient evidence to conclude that the average mean credit score increased as the lending standards have tightened. So D is our option for our conclusion. And in part B, it's asking what assumptions need to be made to perform this analysis. Well, we took a random sample of 25 mortgages, and that sample size is not sufficient for the central limit theorem to apply. So we're not guaranteed that the sample mean will behave like a normal random variable unless the population is known to be normal. And so here in part C, it says because the sample size is less than 30, we need the population to be normally distributed. So C would be our choice. So here we've conducted a one sample t-test, and we failed to reject the null hypothesis. Hope this helps.